All right, hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Andrea from Andrea Speaks TV here, back to bring you news and commentary you can use. Hope you all are doing well. Give everybody of those who are going to be tuning in live, giving everyone a chance to come on, okay? I'll get my information up. I'm going to share this to our community tab. Excuse me, y'all. Let's see. All right, hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. I appreciate you all. Listen, I had a live scheduled for later on tonight, and then I said, you know what, with the weather and everything, it's supposed to be storming in my area, so I took the live down, and I said, you know what, while the weather is somewhat okay right now, I'll just come on and do the live, okay? You all let me know, can you hear me? Can you see me? Thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you for your support, okay? The topic of my live that I had previously scheduled, I was basically saying how, you know, the test is still going on, but you don't even know it, okay? Now, unless you have been asleep and you're just waking up, many of you, including myself, we learned today that President Biden, okay, our current president, our current administrator, who is at the time of this report, he is still dealing with his diagnosis of the C word, okay? You all know I've been keeping you up to date in previous videos as well as on the community tab, okay? It was just announced, okay, breaking news today that President Biden is exiting the 2024 presidential race. And as a matter of fact, sources say that he has actually endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the nominee for the Democratic Party. Okay, so you all can share your thoughts if you care to share in the comments. Can someone, you all please let me know that the comments are working before I get started. Let me type something in the chat here. Okay. All right, y'all. Breaking news of the day, as I said, President Biden, who is currently being treated for the C word. At the time of this broadcast, he's said to be at his beach house, I believe, in Delaware. And so that I, pray that he continue to get well from that. But it was also announced today that he is exiting the 2024 presidential race here in the United States, and he has endorsed Vice President Harris as his nominee. Okay, so I'm going to read a letter that he or someone on his behalf published, and I want to get your thoughts. Okay, so many people seem to be shocked by this. I have asked the question. I did a video about this recently. The fact that there were so many concerns about his well-being. Some people express, or many people express concerns about his mental state. And here we are. Okay, so there had been what seemed like mounting pressure from within his own political party, calling for him to step out of the race. Okay, and so even he himself, in recent interviews, he was very adamant. Okay, I'm talking about prior to today, right? It seemed like our current administration was very adamant about staying in the race. He even mentioned, and I'll probably put this link on the community tab if you would like to read it. He even mentioned that there were at least four different conditions where he would that would cause him basically to drop out of the race. Okay, so the question I want to ask is he really okay? What's going on? Is there something that they have not told us concerning him? You know, we're talking about the leader of the current leader of our country here in America, United States of America. And with all of this going on, many people, maybe even you, have some questions. Okay, so let me read the letter. Okay, the letter is dated today, which is Sunday, July 21st, 2024. And one thing I noticed, you all know I reference whitehouse.gov quite a bit. I did not get this particular letter, okay, from whitehouse.gov. It was one that I saw online. But one thing that I noticed, because I do refer to sources on whitehouse.gov, one thing that I noticed is that it's not on the official presidential or White House letterhead, okay? If you look on the community tab, hello to everyone who's watching. Thank you all so much. If you look on the community tab, you'll see where even his physician, okay, his physician, I can't think of the person's name, but the physician, the official physician to the president, he has been putting out daily updates to let the public and to reassure the American people on the status of President Biden regarding his health. And each of those letters have been on like an official letterhead where you can see like the seal, okay? However, this letter from President Biden is not like that, okay? So let me step away just for a moment, y'all, because I'm also cooking as I record this live. And when I come back, okay, I'm going to read the letter, all right? Thank you all so much. Please leave a comment, say hello. And I want to say thank you all so much for tuning in, okay? Let me check on my stove real quick and I'll be right back, y'all. All right, just give me just a few minutes, y'all. All right, thank you. Can you all hear me? Are you all able to hear me? All right, please let me know if you can hear me, okay? All right, listen, y'all. I was just about to get ready to read the letter that was published and put out to the American people, whether it was by President Biden or on his behalf. But I want to read that letter to you, okay? Can you all please let me know that you can hear me? Okay, please let me know that you can hear me. All right, let me go ahead, y'all. I don't want to keep you on live long. I did want to come on. This is a very significant day. I was reading some information earlier that said that this is the first time in several years, okay, if not decades, that a current president has not sought re-election when they, I guess, were qualified to. Meaning, what is it? It's limited to, okay, hi. Okay, Cynthia says she can hear me. Thank you so much. I hope I have this correct, but I believe the president can serve, 2 consecutive terms? And so by this being his first one, he otherwise would be able to seek re-election, but this allegedly is the first time in many decades that this has happened, okay? All right, y'all, listen. So here is a letter, okay? The letter is dated, again, Sunday, July 21st, 2024, which is today's Sunday. Okay, thank you. All right, Captain in the house. Thank you so much. All right, listen, this was put out by President Biden or someone on his behalf, and it says, and I quote, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs." I'm sorry about that. Y'all sound like it felt like something had gotten in my eye. Let me start over, okay? Today, let me just start all the way over, y'all. Thank you for your patience, okay? The letter says, "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans." Okay, this is what President Biden is saying in his letter, where he's letting us, the American people, know that he will not be seeking re-election. Okay, the letter says, and I quote, "We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today." He goes on to say, "I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic." This is what the letter says, y'all, okay? "And the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world." Okay, this is what the letter is saying. He goes on to say, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." He says, "I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now," he says, "let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected." He says, "I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today, what I always have," he says, "that there is nothing America can't do. When we do it together, we just have to remember we are the United States of America. Okay, and then it has his signature, or it's signed by what appears to be Joe Biden. Okay. All right. So again, okay, that was the letter. It says President Joe Biden on Sunday posted the letter to social media announcing that he would no longer seek re-election. Now, I checked earlier, y'all. You know how I said I referred to whitehouse.gov? You know, when I heard that there was when I heard this news, that was the first place I went, was whitehouse.gov. However, I don't see any announcement on whitehouse.gov speaking about that he's not running for re-election. So I thought that was odd. But they said it was posted to social media. Okay, now, according to my sources, the decision by the Democrat came after building pressure from lawmakers, donors, activists, and voters within his own party. We talked about that here on the channel, who had concerns about his ability to beat Republican Donald Trump in November's election. The letter ended weeks of speculation after the 81-year-old's troubling performance. Okay, the article says that the June 27th presidential debate, and they said it was sent on his own personal stationery. Okay, so you all can let me know your thoughts about that. Let me see. Someone said he left the military dogs. That is, one of his primary roles is to, be the leader of the, over the military, right? As role as the president. Okay. So, let's see. All right, let me know if you all have any questions or comments. Could you explain your comment about the military? Are you saying, as he being the commander-in-chief, that he's leaving them, like walking away? Could you explain? I just want to understand what you were saying. I don't want to misinterpret that. Okay, y'all. Many people have come out and spoken regarding this news. Okay, so I want to give you some updates on what has been said. A lot of people are wondering what happens next. Will Kamala Harris seek the Democratic nomination, making her what some people are already saying the first Black woman and Asian American to lead a major party ticket? Okay, so a lot of people are looking at the historical significance of all of that. Okay. Right. A lot of people were very critical of our exit, including President Trump, very critical about the United States, what seemed like abrupt exit from Afghanistan. Okay. All right. Let me see, y'all. What are your thoughts on this news? Okay. A lot of people, like I said here on the channel, whether you support this person or that person, there are people who support, you have the right to choose and support whoever you are supporting. I'm not here to tell you you need to support this person or that person. That's entirely up to you. Whether you choose to support people for their policies, or maybe you have, you may be supporting the individual. That's entirely up to you. Okay. A lot of people, from what I have seen, there are many people who are devastated by this news for whatever reason. Many people, they found it to be very shocking. They may have been made to feel, that he would seek re-election. They got behind him. They supported him. And now here we are with this news. Okay, so I just want to play something for you. Okay, Van Jones. Okay, I have spoken about Van Jones here on the channel. Van Jones had some words to say. And so I just want to play a little bit of his thoughts and comments, okay? Let me see. Give me just a second, y'all. I think this ad is playing. Okay, thank you all so much for your support. Okay. Some people even say that, you know, this was the plan the whole time. Okay, I want you all to hear what Van Jones had to say. He was speaking with CNN. Hold on, y'all. I thought I had to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. Let's hear what Van Jones had to say. And for those who are not familiar with Van Jones, are you all familiar with Van Jones? I don't want to just assume that you all know who he is. He is referred to as an American political analyst, media personality, lawyer, author. He's also referred to as a civil rights advocate. Okay, he is a 3-time New York Times best-selling author. He, at one time, I don't know if he still is. Well, obviously, because he spoke to CNN, a CNN host and contributor. He's also an Emmy Award winner. He was also said to have served as under President Barack Obama as his special advisor for green jobs in 2009. He also received, was it $100 million donation from Jeff Bezos. And I still ask, what did he do with all of that money? Let me see if I can find out something about that. But that was just a few years ago where he received, it was Van Jones along with, I believe, 2 or 3 other people received contributions from Jeff Bezos. Y'all remember we talked about that here on the channel a while back? I'm trying to find where Van Jones and Jeff Bezos. Yep, Jeff Bezos donates $100 million to CNN contributor Van Jones. That was back in 2021, okay? Again, I don't know what that was about, what was behind it. But Van Jones, okay, he had an emotional response to President Biden's announcement that he would no longer seek re-election. And I just want you to hear what he had to say, okay? All right, let me play it.
Joe Biden's body may not be as strong as it used to be. His language skills may not be as sharp as it used to be. His heart is as big as ever. His heart is as big and as
Can you all hear it?
And as strong. And this is the difference between a politician and a leader. He made a selfless decision, and people are heartbroken. Even people who are pushing for this to happen. It's kind of like when your grandpa, you gotta take the keys. And everybody, you gotta take his keys, you gotta take his keys, you gotta, and he's fighting, and everybody's so frustrated. And then you finally get the keys back. And then you just cry. Because this is somebody that you love. This is somebody that you care about. This is somebody who was there for you. This is somebody, you wouldn't be here without him. And you have to take something from him. Now, this is not, look, this politics is politics. But this is a human moment for one of the great humans in America. This is a huge moment for him, for his family, for all of us who love him, for all of us who want him to get across the finish line. But if you're a young person watching this is leadership. This is patriotism. This is what it means to put the country first, and put the party first, and put the cause first. When your arm gets tired, you let somebody else finish pitching the game. That's what Joe Biden has done, and he's done that for all of us. And so I just want to say, I don't know who's going to be the VP, the non-VP. I don't know anything about politics. I just know that I love this man. I care about this man. It was painful every day to sit up here and talk about.
Wait now, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sure you hear in the video I had to stop it. Now, did he say he didn't know anything about politics? But he's known as a political analyst. Even right here under the title, they have in the caption that he is a senior political commentator. So he's saying that he doesn't know anything about politics, but he is a political commentator. I don't know, y'all. Okay, let's hear what he had to say.
About him like he's just some problem for the party. Wait till we get to the convention. You're going to see people crying, standing, screaming, cheering. He may not get a chance to talk for 10 minutes. We finally get a chance to put our arm around this guy. He did the right thing for this country. He did the right thing for this party. All of us are going to be in this situation someday, and I hope that we take a moment to honor this man and to love this man. I love Joe Biden. I appreciate what he's done, and a lot of people are heartbroken today. Even if it's the right thing, it's still just horrible.
So, what did y'all think about what Van Jones had to say? Okay, hey everyone, let me see about my stove real quick. Let me see here. What do you all think about what he said? He said that at the convention, there are going to be people cheering. I'm sorry, people screaming, crying. He may not really get a chance to speak. Okay, so obviously Van Jones had a very emotional response to all of this. You know, and he basically shared how he felt. And the thing is, you know, there may be many people that feel like Van Jones. Again, people can have, you know, they can feel however they want to feel about this, okay? He also described President Biden, you know, saying, you know, his leadership and all of that. But, you know, that is what, you know, that is what is being said, okay? All right, give me just a second, y'all. I'm trying to pull up some information here. I'm going to fix a cup of coffee. I need to see about this food I have in the oven. But you all let me know your thoughts, okay? Do you have any concerns now about what happens next? The question the question I want to ask is, who is leading our country now? Okay, we have not. The last time I saw President Biden publicly, right, not like in person, but on TV, he actually spoke. And this may have been his last speech prior to his recent illness with the C word, and he was speaking at the NAACP National Convention. You know, I just wonder, you know, and what I'm saying is, since that time, to my knowledge, that may have been his last public appearance prior to his illness. And so is he well enough? You know, we don't really know what's going on, right? We don't really truly know for sure, for 100% sure what's going on. I know he said he'll, you know, let the people know more this week. But with the news coming of him stepping down, many people feel like it was forced. The question I have is he well enough to lead now? We don't really, and I say that because we don't really know what's going on. I'm definitely not here to make fun of, you know, his medical condition, if there be one. You know, I would not wish that on, you know, anyone. But it does bring up the concern, for me at least, and you can share how you feel if you would like to, on if he is well enough to continue leading now, whatever it is that caused his decision to drop out of the race, okay? Let's see. Now, there are even some calls now for him to resign, okay? This is some breaking news that I'm getting. There are actually calls for President Biden to resign from office after dropping out of the race, okay? Let me see if I can get some information on that, and I'll let that play while I fix some coffee, okay? Thank you all so much for taking time out of your Sunday evening to tune in. You know, we're looking at all different sides of this, y'all. Now that, you know, the announcement has been made.
Now I'd like to bring in my colleague, senior.
We have people who are calling on him to resign, okay? Alleging that he may not be fit to continue to lead, to see the end of his term, okay? That is very concerning, you know, people to make those allegations. I don't know if they have any knowledge of what's going on. We, the American people, we haven't been told yet. It hasn't been made public.
Your congressional correspondent,
But let's see.
Chad Pergram. Chad, your reaction to this earthquake in American politics, and what are you picking up from?
Let me play this, y'all. I'm gonna fix some coffee and I'll be right back, okay?
I was told the morning after the debate by a senior House Democratic source, and the quote was, "This was unsustainable." and they thought that the president had not been served very well by people around him, and just didn't think that this was going to last very much longer, depending on how long you look here. I think it is significant that the president now has just endorsed Vice President Harris, because there are a lot of people on Capitol Hill, especially the Congressional Black Caucus, who will be against that. To have some sort of wide open process or something like that was going to be extremely messy. This is messy enough as it is. People kept talking about the concept of having a brokered convention. I pointed out to people that it wouldn't necessarily be a brokered convention, but it would be a convention. The idea that, these delegates, these people who have, voted for President Biden and Harris and the primaries here, those delegates are pledged to them, but not bound to them until they have that roll call vote. Supposed to be an electronic roll call vote in early August. That'll probably change in some form now, depending on what happens, or some people will probably push for the convention. The other thing that I noticed here is that very quickly we were starting to get statements, Mike, from vulnerable Democrats. Kim Schreier, who's a Democrat from Washington State, Tammy Baldwin, who's a Democratic senator in Wisconsin, that's a battleground state there, and immediately endorsing what President Biden has done here, because things were not going to look good for people who represent districts in states like that down ballot. Now you have what's going on the Republican side of the aisle, and this is really significant here, where you're starting to have people like Elise Stefanik, the Republican conference chair, Richard Hudson, the chair of the NRCC from North Carolina. Immediately, and we knew that this was going to happen, they're starting to say, look, if the president cannot run for re-election, then he ought to step down. How is he fit to serve?
Right.
And we're going to have inquiries this week, Mike, into the shooting of former President Trump. There might be inquiries into this as to what the health of the president might be.
Chad, I covered former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi day in and day out with you for a decade. You've covered her for several decades. What about her role in terms of trying to convince President Biden it was time for a change, and basically trying to protect her Democratic members?
Yeah, that was something that she was really worried about. And it was obvious, just not from Pelosi, but others who had a hand in this, that they had to address what was going to happen down ballot. And the idea was to start with a gentle push, and then it started to be more of a wave, and then it started to be a tidal wave, and then it was getting to maybe a tsunami. In fact, I think that we were probably going to have some of this last week had it not been for the shooting a week ago. It was a week ago Saturday that Chuck Schumer went to Rehoboth, did not announce this, and met with President Biden. And that statement, that just the fact that he had met, it came out seconds before the shooting. And so any conversation about this was kind of put off for about a week. That was statement here, Mike, from the majority leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer. He says Joe Biden has not only been a great president and great legislative leader, but
all right, y'all. So if you're just joining us, thank you so much for your support. Welcome, welcome. I'm Andrea from Andrea Speaks TV, and I bring you news and commentary you can use. So we're on discussing breaking news regarding the fact that President Biden has dropped out of the 2024 presidential race. Okay, y'all know here on the channel I ask questions. What's really going on? I'm looking at both sides. Okay, what does this mean? What do you think this means for the Democratic Party going forward? They have not made an official announcement yet regarding who will now be the Democratic nominee. Okay, I know that President Biden, I got some coffee, y'all. President Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris, who is our current vice president. I'm gonna let that cool off some. And so a lot of people are wondering, where do we go from here? Okay, I want to play an interview. It was actually an interview President Biden was speaking with, I believe, Ed Gordon on BET. I want to play some of this interview right here, y'all. These are his own words, okay? Did he drop out of the race on his own will? Was he forced out? Okay. Let me see if I can give me just a minute, y'all. Thank you so much for your support. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, okay? All right, let me see. I may have to skip ahead a little bit.
Gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality and a design tailored just for you.
I'm Ed Gordon. Tonight, a BET News exclusive. Black America votes. The Biden interview.
And again, y'all, you know, by him going on BET, okay, he's trying to, he's basically speaking to what he believes to be Black America, okay, trying to, get the black vote.
I'd like you to take a moment and tell Black America why should they turn out for you. Our interview took place Tuesday in Las Vegas, where the president was in town to address the NAACP convention. None of our questions were shared.
All right, let me see. This is the part I want to play right here.
I think wisdom, and I think I've demonstrated that I know how to get things done for the country.
May have to turn up some. Hold on.
We couldn't get it.
Family members that you would look to say, if I see that, I will reevaluate.
If there had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem. But I made a serious mistake in the whole debate. And look, when I originally ran, you may remember it, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. And I thought that I'd be able to move from this, just pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided. And quite frankly, I think the only thing age brings is a little bit of wisdom. And I think I've demonstrated that I know how to get things done for the country, in spite of the fact that we couldn't get it done. But there's more to do, and I'm reluctant to walk away from that.
Would you be willing to be transitional even at this
Said he was
point?
reluctant to walk away.
To even look at the idea that if you get in, perhaps in a year and a half or two, you would look to your, in your words, very capable vice president to carry it over the finish line?
Well, look, only if I was told that there was some medical condition that I had. And that's not the case. So, but I understand what people say. Look, I'm only 3 years older than Trump, okay? And I think I'm in a little better physical shape than he is. The point is, though, that it's not unreasonable for people to say, wait a minute, you're 80.
Did y'all hear that he threw a little shade at Trump, y'all? He said he was only 3 years older than Trump, okay? Which I don't know Trump's exact age. I don't know if that's correct or not. He said that he was 3 years older than Trump, and he said that he was in better physical shape than Trump. Y'all see how he threw a little bit of shade? All right, let's let it keep playing.
And so I think it's a legitimate thing from the race, and as long as I can demonstrate that it's not affecting my ability to compete, my ability to get things done, my ability to literally lead the world.
So you are willing from year to year to look at your health, your capabilities, and move from that place?
Well, as a practical matter, yes, but there's no reason to believe that's not going to happen.
Let's turn to the economy. You've done some very good things. Unemployment rate for Black America.
So you heard in his own words, right?
Black Americans starting small businesses in record numbers.
Let me hear what he said here.
With your administration, you provided $7.3 billion to HBCUs, capped insulin, as you've told us, for seniors and others. But because of the wealth disparity for African Americans, there's this sense, and being Joe from Scranton, you understand this more than most. Sometimes it's very difficult, even with all of those programs, to make it day to day to day. What do you tell people who are paying $6 for cereal? They can't take their kids to a movie or a ball game, memories that last with you. What do you tell them?
Well, I tell them what's happening is inflation is coming down. It is coming down. You have 16 Nobel laureates in economics saying that it's coming down. I think you're going to see, I have not spoken to the Fed. My guess is they're going to reduce rates. But what we have to do is deal with the corporate greed. What's happened here is, since the pandemic, corporate profits have doubled. For example, I want to make sure that corporations that own apartment complexes cannot raise rent beyond 5% in any 1 year. Period. I want to see to it that we're going to build 20 million new homes that are affordable. That's why I'm moving to make sure that we provide first-term home buyers, particularly in African-American communities and minority communities, down payments of $10,000 to get started.
All right, so y'all heard in some of his own words again, you know, he's talking about different plans. To me, it seems like he definitely was not anticipating on not seeking re-election. And so that makes me ask the question even more, okay, what's really behind this decision? Okay. You can let me know your thoughts if you care to share them. And I said I wasn't gonna keep y'all too much longer. Listen, y'all. Okay, when you look at what's going on, some of you may say there are several people who have said, okay, well, you know, this is all one big show. You got the different, you know, players, actors, if you would, of the show. You know, this is all a part of the plan, some people would say. And it could very well be. Okay, I would even go as far as to say, do you think that this all of a sudden is just something that happened? You don't think that there were players who were making moves and putting things in place maybe even months ago, maybe even over a year ago now, for this day to actually happen? What do y'all think about that? Feel like something was in my eye. So, you know, that's that, okay? On the other side, so to speak, there are some people, I read something today where there were some people who are even questioning really what happened regarding President Trump. Some people were even wondering, was that staged? Okay. There are people who have different, you know, opinions and things like that. But one thing that I can say is, while I do support, you know, policies, certain policies, I learned to not put my complete trust and faith in any of them. Okay, so you may have a difference of opinion, you may agree, you may disagree, but that's kind of my take on it. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Any questions, comments? Any questions that you have? Like I said, y'all, many people seem to be shocked, caught off guard. Many people seem to not see this day coming, as far as President Biden saying that he's not seeking re-election. But you all know right here on the channel, I did a video saying, okay, what's going on? You know, could this be a possibility one day? And then, you know, here we are. So let me know if y'all have any questions, okay? I'm not going to keep y'all long. I know it's Sunday evening going into the night time now. A lot of things are going on, y'all. A lot of things are going on that we need to know about, that they're not telling us about. Here in Georgia, and I guess I'll touch on some of what I was going to talk about in my original live. But do you all know here in Georgia, there are still, right now at the time of this video, there are still people who are stranded at the airport, meaning their flights have been canceled. Okay, there are still people who are stuck at the airport. So I want to update you on this. And I even want to ask the question: do you believe that what happened with the largest IT outage, global IT outage? I just did a video about this too. When did that happen, y'all? That was Friday. Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. Do you believe that was a coincidence? Do you believe it was a coincidence? I'm asking. So here in Georgia, okay, Delta Airlines is offering, I'm sorry, let me put this as a quote. Here in Georgia, okay, there are still people who are stuck at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport because their flight has been canceled, okay? Someone said it was just practice. Hey, it could have been a test, right? And that's why I say, y'all, the test is still going on, but people don't even realize it. People don't even realize it. You don't think these people have the capability to press a button, do whatever they got to do to fix it? Y'all don't. With all the technology and all these, I would think intelligent, skilled people, you don't think that they are equipped with the knowledge and the know-how to fix this system and get things back going how they are, okay? What if this was all a test to see how you reacted to the situation? Oh, let me be quiet. Let me be quiet before they do, you know, before they start playing with my channel, right? What if it was a test? Have you thought about that? But listen, y'all, right now at the time of this broadcast, right, Delta Airlines is, and I quote, offering an acknowledgement to passengers affected by hundreds of cancellations at airports across the country. Okay. As of Sunday morning, nearly 300 Delta flights were canceled at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport alone. Okay. And again, y'all, I'm in Georgia. And so this is what's happening in Georgia. Okay. Just before noon on Sunday, Delta spokespeople shared an updated statement on the global IT outage with Channel 2 Action News that detailed what they plan to do for affected customers. They said, and I quote, "We're sorry for this inconvenience. Canceling a flight is always our last resort and isn't taken lightly. Delta is communicating directly with significantly impacted customers via email Sunday, offering an acknowledgement of the disruption, an apology, and the issuance of Sky Miles program miles or a travel voucher." Okay. Now, for those who don't know, okay, the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport is the world's busiest airport. Okay. And a particular reporter spoke with travelers who said they've been left stranded at the airport, some of whom have been stuck there for days. Okay. I can't even imagine that, y'all. One traveler was noted as saying, and I quote, "It just seems like nobody cares about us. We're sleeping on the floor. There are kids sleeping on the floor and no one's done anything about it." Okay. The traveler also said that he and his party got 3 food vouchers worth $12 and a hotel voucher. But when they got to the hotel, there weren't any rooms available. Delta's statement goes on to say that they're extending travel waivers to all passengers who booked travel from July 19th through the 21st if they rebook travel before July 26th. Okay. They say they are also issuing Sky Miles program miles or travel vouchers, as well as covering eligible expenses for hotel, meal, and ground transportation. All right. This is what's happening, y'all. So again, was this a test? Okay. Hey, I could have made this its own video, but I'm just asking the question since we're on talking. Was it a coincidence or was it a test? Okay. Put in the chat if you don't mind. You can type coincidence or test. Which one do you think it was? Okay. Could have very well been a test. Because like I said, y'all, I'm pretty sure, okay, I don't work for this company, but I would think that they have people in place with the knowledge, the intelligence, and the know-how to press a button, go in and fix these things to where it doesn't have to continue on and on each day. Okay, so that's one thing, y'all, that I'm starting to question just because it's going on and on, right? A test. Y'all are saying a test. I'm starting to feel like as well that it could very well have been a test. Okay, they're looking at people's reactions. They're seeing, they could be seeing just how far they can stretch this thing out, how far they can go with it. They're paying attention just like we're paying attention. Okay, because the truth be told, if they really wanted to do something to help these people, especially at the Atlanta airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, there's way more that they can do, y'all. There's way more that they can do. Okay. With the resources that they have, right? Y'all agree or disagree? Okay. Let me see. I gotta sneeze again. Excuse me. All right. Okay, so this let me see. Hold on just a minute here. Houston, Texas. Okay, can we talk about, thank you. Okay, someone said bless you. I got a little sinus thing going on. Thank you. Listen, Houston, Texas. Can we talk about Houston, Texas some more? The fact that there are people there who are still without power. Speaking of tests, okay, why is it that there are people in Houston, Texas for over a week now, they're still without power? Okay, so I want to give you some updates on that. And people are really going through it. Okay, so according to my sources, Heat-related losses of life, okay, are on the rise after Hurricane Beryl left millions without power for days or longer, okay? Listen to this, y'all, okay? As the temperature soared in the Houston area home of one lady, okay, that she shares with her sister, after losing electricity in Hurricane Beryl, she did everything she could to keep her 64-year-old sibling cool, okay? But on the fourth day without power, she awoke to hear her sister. This is, I'm just now reading this, but this is like, my goodness. On the fourth day without power, she awoke to hear her sister, who used a wheelchair and relied on a feeding tube, gasping for breath. Okay, paramedics were called, but she was pronounced at a hospital, and the medical examiner saying her loss of life was caused by the heat. Okay, are you all hearing what I'm saying here? The lady, you know, obviously she's going through the emotions of dealing with the loss of her sister. Almost 2 weeks after Hurricane Beryl hit, heat-related losses of life during the prolonged power outages have pushed the number of storm-related losses of life to at least 23 in Texas. Okay, the combination of searing summer heat, it's been hot in Georgia too, y'all, but it seemed like every day now, recently, like even now, even though it's 7:51 p.m. here on the East Coast, it's been pretty much dark, like I don't even think the sun has been shining today, but it'll rain and it'll stop and the thunderstorms will come back. Okay, so I'm also paying attention to that as well. Listen, the combination of searing summer heat and residents unable to power up air conditioning in the days after the Category 1 storm made landfall on July 8th resulted in increasingly dangerous conditions for some in America's fourth largest city. Okay, I'm talking about Houston, Texas. Beryl knocked out electricity to nearly 3 million homes. Thank you all so much for the support. Okay, Hurricane Beryl knocked out electricity to nearly 3 million homes and businesses at the height of the outages, okay, which lasted days or much longer. And hospitals reported a spike in heat-related illnesses as well, okay? Although power was finally restored to most by last week, after over a week of widespread outages, there are still some people who have not had theirs restored, okay? And while they're even saying that while it may be weeks or even years before the full human toll of the storm in Texas is known, understanding that number helps plan for the future. That's what experts are saying, okay? So again, y'all, a lot of people in Texas still dealing with the fact that they don't have power. There have been some who have lost their life behind it. Here's an update. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has actually given the utility company a deadline to fix the power outages, okay? Very, very tragic thing that's happening in Houston, Texas, okay? I pray for those in the Houston, Texas area. And, you know, I pray that they're able to get through what it is they're going through, okay? All right, let me know if you all have any questions, comments, concerns. Let me ask you all this question. Speaking of going back to what we were saying as far as politics, okay? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who from my understanding is running as an independent candidate for president, he held a news conference, okay? I wonder why. Why isn't he as talked about in his campaign, okay? Why isn't his campaign as talked about, okay? I want you all to think about that and let me know your thoughts in the chat. Why isn't he as talked about, okay? They say he held a press conference. He held a news conference after it was announced that President Biden dropped out of the race. And I'm trying to see if I can pull that up as well. Let me see. Say it may play after this ad. And I was going to play that, okay? Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to see if I can let me see if I can find his news conference. Give me just a minute, y'all. Thank you all to those tuning in and for your support, okay? Let me see if I can,
Well, good news. Book one with convenient delivery.
this is an ad. I'm gonna see if I can look up and see what he said, okay? Thank you all so much. Subscribe to the channel, join our community, okay?
By commending President Biden for a career in public service.
Okay, so for those of y'all who are just tuning in rather, this is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if you're not aware, he is actually running for president as an independent nominee. Okay, so he had some comments regarding the news that President Biden is dropping out of the race. Okay, so let's hear what he had to say. I'm going to play it. Let's hear what he had to say. Okay.
By commending President Biden for a career in public service, for a long, long career in representing and serving our country, and for his handling of the many difficulties and challenges, personal challenges and tragedies he suffered during his life with so much admirable conduct and the empathy that he derived from those experiences, that he was always proficient at showing to the rest of us. I want to add that a year ago, a little over a year ago, when I entered this race, I predicted that President Biden suffered from a degenerative condition that was not going to improve and that it would make it impossible for him to govern effectively. The reaction of the DNC to that obvious condition was to hide it from the American public and to use their power over the Democratic Party nomination process to make sure that nobody could compete with President Biden in a way that would expose his deficiencies. And as a result, we are where we are today, which is in a period of crisis. And we have two crises, and they both derive from the same condition. And that condition is the emergence of the domination of corporate power over American democracy that accelerated beginning in 2010 with the Citizens United case that unleashed a tsunami of corporate money into the American political process. And both parties are now captured by that corporate money. And they've lost.
Wow, do y'all hear what he's saying?
Authentic connection to the American people or to the populist goals of the Republic and of democracy. On the Republican side, President Biden promised the last time around that he was going to drain the swamp. But instead, he came in and he appointed a pharmaceutical lobbyist and CEO to run HHS, Verizon lobbyist to run the FCC, a Goldman Sachs CEO to run the Treasury Department, an oil lobbyist to run the Interior Department, a coal lobbyist to run the Environmental Protection Agency, and so on. And only today, President Trump has announced that in his new administration, should he win this election, that Jamie Dimon will be his choice as Commerce Secretary, and that Larry Fink, the director of BlackRock, will run the Treasury Department. This is the swamp. These are swamp creatures. And his pick as vice president is a salute to the CIA and to the intelligence community and to the military-industrial complex. And their gravy train is going to continue. And President Trump has a connection to the American people, a populist connection
But in many ways, it's the same fraudulent connection that we saw with the DNC over the past year, concealing the real purpose of their objectives, which was to give us a president that represents corporate interests rather than the interests of the American public. We've seen two
Y'all hear that?
presidents who aren't really addressing any of the issues that are critical to our country. We have, if you look at President Biden and President Trump, you can look at them and say these are very different people. Their dispositions are different. Their personalities are different. Their expressed ideologies are very, very different. Their approach to politics could not be more distinct. But if you actually look at the policies over which they differ, over the landscapes in which they're staging this election, it's a very narrow Overton window of guns, of culture war issues, of abortion, of trans rights, etc. And the big existential issues that are actually facing our country are never addressed. The biggest of these, perhaps, is the national debt. This is now $34 trillion. The service on that debt alone is now greater than our military budget. Within 5 years, 50 cents out of every dollar that we collect in taxes will go to servicing that debt. Within 10 years, 100%. This is not sustainable. President Biden, President Trump offer no solution. President Biden, on his webpage, has no policy issues addressing this or any other policy. He has a picture of himself and saying that we're going to finish the job. But he doesn't tell what job he's going to finish. If it's the job of running up the deficit till it's completely unsustainable, that's something that the American people should know about. President Biden can't talk about it, and President Trump can't talk about it because they're the ones chiefly responsible for running up that debt. President Trump came into office saying he was going to run the presidency as a business. He was going to balance the federal budget. And instead, he ran up an $8 trillion debt, more than all the presidents combined since George Washington. And President Biden is now on track to beat that number. So neither of them are even going to talk about this most existential issue. And other existential issues are addiction to foreign wars. Both men have said that they're against war, and both men are feeding a war machine. The Ukraine war is a war that should have never been fought. It should have been settled. President Putin has offered twice to settle that war on terms that were enormously beneficial to the Ukrainian people and to the American people and to our security in Europe. And yet, President Biden and President Putin initialed an agreement. President Zelensky initialed that same agreement in April of 2022. And President Biden sent Boris Johnson over to force Zelensky to tear up that agreement. And since then, it's probable that over 500,000 Ukrainian kids have died unnecessarily in a war that is enriching BlackRock because they own all of the military contractors that are supplying that war. And BlackRock not only has the contract to destroy Ukraine, but it also now has the contract which President Biden gave them to rebuild Ukraine. Neither of these presidents is going to deal with the chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, 60% do. Diabetes alone, when I was a kid, the typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes in his career, or a 40 or 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 children who walk through his office door is diabetic or pre-diabetic. And nobody's talking about why this is happening. The cost of dealing with mitochondrial disorders in our children, dysfunction, which is diabetes, is now greater than our military budget. The biggest cost to our nation is the cost of treating chronic disease, $4.3 trillion annually. It's 5 times the price of our military budget. And nobody's talking about why did autism go from 1 in 10,000 in my generation and 70-year-old men today, right now, and yet my children's generation is 1 in every 34 kids, 1 in every 22 boys. Shouldn't we be looking into this? Shouldn't we be doing the science to figure out what's causing it? We know that it's an environmental explosion or an accumulation of environmental exposures. Genes don't cause epidemics. There has to be an environmental toxin. And all the corrupt merger of state and corporate power has been overseen by both political parties. It's something neither of them, the capture of our agencies by the industries that they're supposed to regulate. Our regulatory agencies have been turned into the sock puppets of the industries they're supposed to protect us against. And all of these are issues that are critical to the American people. And finally, the most existential issue of all, the toxic division that is destroying our country. And President Biden's, the attempted assassination of President Trump this week is a symptom of that toxicity. We're now more polarized in this country than at any time since the American Civil War. And nobody can see an ending to this. If President Biden gets elected, it's going to become more toxic. If President Trump gets elected, it's going to become more polarized. And neither of these men, both of them recognize this is existential. But both of them, neither of them can do anything about it. Why? Because they feed on it. They feed it. They fuel it. And they are the products of that division. So we need a leader who can stop feeding into the vitriol, stop feeding into the anger, stop feeding into the marginalization, the polarization, and who can find those values that bring Americans together rather than focusing on these toxic issues that are intended to keep us all apart. And it's the BlackRock, the State Street, the JP Morgan.
He's calling out some of the corporate companies now.
The very people that President Trump has promised to appoint to run our government who are profiting on it, because it's like the jangling of keys. They're saying, look over here, look at abortion, look at freedom of choice, look at trans rights, look at gun rights. And while we're all staring at each other's throats on those issues, on the jangly keys, they're robbing the bank over here. They're shifting the wealth upward to this new oligarchy of billionaires. And both President Trump and President Biden engineered the lockdowns in 500 days. They created 500 new billionaires. And they shifted $4.3 trillion northward from the American middle class to this new aristocracy that we have. And it's destroying our country. We need a change. If people want more of the same, they can vote Democrat and they can vote Republican. The only way we're going to get a change in this country is if people come together behind the one candidate who is independent, who has vowed to have a unity government to bring Republicans and Democrats and others all together in a way that finds common ground in our country. A candidate who's the only candidate who's pro-choice, who's pro-environment, who's pro-civil rights, and who beats Donald Trump by 14%. There is no other candidate who can beat Donald Trump. Look at all the polls that have been done over the last year. I beat Donald Trump, and nobody else can. Thank you very much.
Wow. So we have heard from Robert F. Kennedy Jr., okay, current independent presidential candidate. Okay, he's saying that he's the only one that could beat President Trump. Okay, so he actually, I have actually heard some of the some speeches by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and he has said some things then and even now that have sparked me wanting to learn more about him and even his policies. So I'm going to do some more research. I did recently hear a video, an interview rather, where, hello to everyone tuning in. Thank you all so much. Okay, I heard a video interview recently where he was speaking about reparations, and I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. You know, one thing that I noticed, right? Sometimes these candidates, you know, they don't want to speak on that topic. They don't want to speak on the topic of reparations. And it's very concerning. Okay. I don't know if people just have the idea that, you know, the whole idea, not just idea, but the, that's something that's owed to Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. But that seems like a topic where it's like, okay, reparations, and it's like people just don't want to talk about it. So the fact that he actually spoke about it and addressed it, that caught my attention. But I'm going to talk about that in another video. Okay. Anyone have any questions, comments, anything? Do you feel differently now regarding the race? Okay. Have you changed your mind about, you know, what candidate you're going to vote for? You know, is this about money? Okay. Now, like I said, y'all, and when I say, is this about money, the decision for him to drop out today, is it about money? Because there were some reports, right, that said that President Biden, their party rather, was at risk of losing, I think, over $90 million or something like that in campaign donations. So it seemed like, based on what they're telling us, right, that they had to make a change in their candidate, Democratic candidate, presidential nominee rather, in order for those donations to keep coming in. So it brings up another interesting point that Robert F. Kennedy made, and he was talking about, you know, these corporate entities coming in and having their hand in the government. Is this something that we, the American people, should be concerned about? Okay. All right, y'all, listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday evening, your Sunday night to tune in and get the information. I'm going to continue to follow this story, as well as there's some others that I'm going to be doing videos on. So make sure that you not only subscribe to the channel, but make sure that you hit the notifications bell. That way, whenever I do go live or I upload new content, you will get that information. Okay. All right, y'all, listen, as always, like I said, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you all. I pray that you are blessed. I pray that you are well, you and your family. And I want to say again, thank you all so much for your support. Make sure that you check out, I did a video earlier on the channel. Make sure you check it out. I was speaking about some things that are happening in communities, maybe even your own community, but it's happening in communities across the United States. And I went and I did a live on location video to show you what's going on, to give you some things to think about. Okay. Make sure you check the videos tab. Make sure you check the community tab here on the channel. Make sure you check the live tab. If you came in, if you're just joining us and you didn't get to see this entire live, you can watch it as soon as I hit the end button and it uploads. It'll be under the live tab. Okay. All right. Listen, y'all. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. Take care. Be well. Stay tuned for more news and commentary you can use right here on Andrea Speaks TV. Listen, y'all. Before I go, let me say this. There's so much happening. So many things are going on, right? There's so many tests out there. Some people don't even realize it. Some people still don't. With everything that has happened, y'all, some people still don't realize what's going on. But what I want to say is continue to do what you need to do in regards to getting yourself prepared, getting the things that you and your family need in whatever way you feel like fits best for you. Stay focused. Okay. Don't get distracted. There's so many distractions right now. Don't get distracted. Okay. Take care, y'all. We'll keep talking. Stay tuned for more news and commentary you can use right here on Andrea Speaks TV. Y'all have a good night.